Anyway, Joseph, nice to see you. And I've got a
Great. Hi,
few
Jay.
questions here for you. The first one is, how did you get into and discover biodynamic craniosacral therapy?
Great. Wow. Yeah. It started with my own personal health journey. So I really, it wasn't at the time, there wasn't really a distinction between biodynamic and the conventional cranial to my awareness, so I basically, yeah, I was suffering with back pain in my 30s, and it was like a terrible, like 3-4 times a year I'd be bent to one side or the other. And despite working, like I was teaching martial arts and stretching and doing quite active, and I tried everything, like osteo, I tried physio, I tried some exotic therapies that only one person did. I tried pretty much everything available. And at some stage, I met this at the time, he was 87.
Oh, wow.
He was a well-known therapist in Galway, American chiropractor, a real character, like, sort of tall, almost 2 meters tall. And I went to see, people said, oh, you should go and see him. Like, he's amazing and very unusual. Like, so I went to see him, and he was sort of mumbling and and starting to treat. He did all sorts of things like thought field therapy. And I remember doing sort of looking left and right while singing, humming tunes. And it was, but he also, he did some cranial work, like, yeah. And initially, it was when he started cranial work for the first 15 sessions or so, I just took about 2 minutes to fall asleep, like, and then I slept all the way through the session.
Just knock you out.
The only thing I really noticed was, well, I feel a lot more relaxed. And I was in a very stressful work environment and burning the candle on both ends, so to say. And it helped. It helped, even though I had no idea what he was doing. And as far as I was concerned, he wasn't doing anything, but I felt better. So then eventually there was one after, I think it was session 15 or 16, he put his hands on. And during the session, it just felt like, wow, there's actually stuff happening inside my body. And at some stage, just felt like my whole body lifted off and floated 90 degrees off the table and floated back and landed down.
No way.
And I was like, whoa, what is on here? And he just mumbled, oh, things are probably going to get better now. So, but for me, it was really the first, obviously he wasn't working with dissociative states, and he wasn't really, he just let people do what they did. And but for me, it was really once I started to see or feel what was going on inside, it was like, whoa, this is amazing. It was very clear this was not coming from him, very clear that this was my body doing things. And from that session onwards, like, I was really starting to pay attention. So it's almost like it took 15 sessions for my dissociation to clear to a degree. And then, it was really, I felt different, like, in my body. I didn't, like, episodes didn't come back. Now, also, I did some Feldenkrais, which also was tremendously helpful. And so the combination between those two, and particularly the cranial, also feeling, I think it was more the realization, wow, you're really stressed, like, and you can feel it, like, Whereas before it was more like an abstract idea of, of course I'm stressed, but I didn't feel, hey, you're holding your breath, your chest is really tight, your muscles are really tight, and as soon as you start to notice, you start to take those deep sighing breaths, like, and then you'd feel tension building. So all this was more, I didn't know any of it really, like, so it was a real eye opener.
Wonderful. Great story, Joseph.
Yeah,
Hey, I've got another
yeah.
question for you here.
Yes.
What do you notice happens with your clients?
Yes. So, I mean, that's an interesting, and it's obviously it's a very varied experience, like, and I think there's a sort of a category of people who come in a committed way, like, so they really engage with the therapy, and there's people sort of flowing in and out. And, it's different, but for me, definitely the people who commit to it, I really see enormous transformative change, like, where you feel, and maybe the biggest thing is people not getting stuck in their patterns anymore. It's not about, oh, now I'm completely different and everything I experienced is wiped clean off the slate. Like, no, that's not really it. But it's a bit like things come up, maybe old patterns reemerge, and then, one session states a norm that people feel, like that wow, that's amazing. Like, and through all levels, like severe pain, sort of psychological issues, habits, and, sort of addictive patterns. And it really, it's people who do it actually live better, lighter in a way, like less ingrained in their patterns. And it really, it can produce astonishing results in, the first, the second, the third session.
Yeah.
Often so astonishing that people just think, wow, I'm fixed, and don't come back.
It's a miracle.
No, it's especially with pain, I think, and sort of maladaptive patterns, that it can be really, really quick, like if there's enough resources and people, like people can really,
yeah,
I've had amazing results, like,
yeah,
it's almost
fantastic.
So I expect good results, like,
yes,
quickly.
yes,
That's
absolutely.
Not like this.
Good to hear, Joseph. Here's a third question. What aspect of BCST most excites you?
I feel it's a rare niche. That's what excites me in a way, like, so because in my own experience, I've had smart osteopaths, great chiropractors, super massage therapists, excellent God knows what therapists working on me, and it was always about fixing something, like,
yeah,
and it was great, like, I walked with benefiting, often to declining degrees, like, but there was always, I felt like, wow, yeah, those people do make a difference. And then for me was really when I realized, wow, this is me, my system, my body, my internal resources, the intelligence within me, actually choreographing the play, or the unfolding of that process. And I think it's unique, and it's rare, and it has a huge niche. I think it should be much more mainstream. It should be much more part of what people offer, in a way, in its simplicity, not in a fixing sense, but helping people to feel themselves better, and safety, and also the knowing, like this sort of, I'm very interested in the tissues, and if I dance, I play music, so there's a very engaged style that I practice the work in a way, like for me it's like a dance in a way. And
nice
so it's really this, but still there's this always the respect, in a way, asking interesting questions, but then always respecting no, in a way, or it's a question, it's not an imposition.
Yes.
And in that space, I think, something from within emerges, like, and starts to unfold in the treatments. Like, some people notice it clearer than others. Like, some people, it's I would say like a little bit like some people look through a very blurry lens, in a way, so there's not much coming through. But they feel like me, like, like in a way that the best example, falling asleep for 15 sessions, my lens was so thick, like, there was nothing coming through, like, yeah. But then once that lens refines, it's nice to explore and see people knowing themselves better and making better choices for their health and well-being.
Right.
I think that's what excites me.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks,
Yeah.
Josef. They were fantastic replies.